everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. When we last left off, I need to also make sure you're in the Roll20 for the Muzak. When we last left off, the party continued their trek down into the farthest reaches of the Underdark, leaving the futuristic city of Edict behind to make the journey to the Ergos Republic, hoping to catch one of their enemies in the Scar Concord unawares. Although, as it stands, the group is divided on how to deal with the problem, as President Ergos, after recalling some rumors flying around in the political sphere, appears to be in a deeply one-sided relationship of some kind with Queen Wyborn. But, nonetheless, for the time being, she is an enemy. And making your way through the Underdark with the assistance of the strange elvish gentleman Barry Road, using his futuristic vehicle to get you through the tunnels of the Underdark further and further down. You explored some of the route where the caravan had gone missing. And after making your way through a nest of strange spider-like creatures, Caro capturing one of them, dodging crushed stairs in churches and bottomless pits, the party found the remains of what appears to be the caravan with a discarded and deeply damaged Edict security droid, but was forced to fight off a swarm of strange, tiny, draconic creatures, which distracted them before attacking them in a large swarm, before dispersing into the caves as too many of their number were slain for them to justify a continued fight. As the last of the Compsognathus scatter into the rocks, leaving you all among the wreckage of the truck, surrounded on all sides by sliced, bisected, and otherwise gored lizard creatures. Neon, there is still the robot that you seemed interested in examining, and Zephyr, as the final compies run up the stairs, they are no longer blocking your way, so you can proceed forward if you wish. With that, as silence falls over this cave once more, what would you all like to do?
I would like to proceed with my plan of examining the robots.
All right.
Because I forget if I actually did that or not, which I don't feel like I did.
All right. And yeah,
Gil would like to check out the truck.
All right. Are you looking for anything in particular, or just kind of looking it over?
I'm checking out the cargo area. I'm looking for the missing supplies.
All right. Make an investigation check, and just keep your result at ready. So, Neon. Yeah, you did not. The compies attacked while you were getting in the process. You had basically just done a cursory look, but the compies had interrupted you. So make me another. So are you going to try and? So what are you going to try and repair it as you originally intended? Like what exactly are you trying to do?
Yes, I want to repair it.
All right. Make me a. I'll just call this a general intelligence check with your proficiency bonus applied. Since there's not really any particular tool set for this, so you'll kind of be swapping between things. All right, so Gil's checking out the truck. Neon is starting on the security bot. Caleb will accompany you, Gil, to examine the contents of the truck, see if there's anything left behind. In the meantime, Zephyr, what are you doing?
Well, I will proceed as planned and wander off.
All right. Caro and Lucian, as you two are closest to the stairs anyway, as the last of the compies are killed, and everyone, after a moment to breathe, returns to their tasks, and Gil and Caleb begin searching the truck for supplies as Neon begins to dig into the machine. You all see Zephyr with a bladed parasol slung over his shoulder, heading up the stairs. Caro and Lucian, what would the two of you like to do?
Coming back to Lucian, her computer's frozen, and I'm working on helping her out.
All right. So, Caro, what are you doing?
So I already checked the car and failed at that.
Yeah, the windows were too battered and tinted to see anything from your angle.
Can I open it? Open
Yeah,
one of the
absolutely.
doors?
The door to your right, but to like the truck's left, is trapped against the rock. But you can open the driver's side, although that will require it won't disrupt Neon's role, but you will have to get Neon's help to move the security bot out of the way if you want to open the passenger door. So Neon and Kara, are the two of you okay with that?
Sure.
Kara? All right, I'll take that as a yes.
Kara's fucking dead.
And I'll say that Lucian, kind of seeing as the group is like kind of doing a buddy system at the moment, always at least two people together, is going to head up to follow Zephyr up the stairs.
Okay, I'm back.
Ew. You good? All right, we'll come back to you.
I got interrupted by somebody walking in or something.
All right. In that case, Neon, what did you roll?
For my robot, I rolled a 17.
Okay. You begin to solder wires that have been bitten by these strange creatures and repair damaged motherboards. There's nothing you can do for the gaping hole in the chassis, but and again, it will take you several minutes of work, but as you make progress, you are confident that you're going to be able to at least get some basic repairs. You estimate you will be able to restore AI functionality, although the machine's physical chassis is definitely like beyond your current equipment's repair. Like there's a gaping hole in the chassis, parts of it have been crushed or torn apart. This is going to have to be a factory reassembly job if you want to get it back on the streets, but you estimate you can at least get the AI back in working order.
Yeah, we could just slap some flex tape on that hole and seal it right up. Flex tape is an amazing product. No. All right, that sounds fair.
All right. I would prefer for more people to be here for the other things, but it'll just have to wait. Oh. All right. So, Lucian, you are going to be following Zephyr up the stairs since everyone else seems to be using the buddy system. So, as the two of you make your way up, you find yourself ascending a winding spiral staircase. It ascends, going further up and curving to the left before exiting out into a large cavern. As the two of you look into the next cavern, at an immediate glance, you see that you are at the base of what appears to be an ascending, almost staircase system of waterfalls. Lucian, you recall, like, being aware of similar structures used in farming in other regions. This sort of like, large flat land and then a descent steeply before another bit of flat land, etc., etc. At a glance, it appears that there's about 3 layers of this, with a large cascade of water coming from a large cave. Although the water is coming out relatively fast, you don't estimate you'd be able to go through the cave without some aquatic assistance of some kind. But the water appears to be kind of flowing down in this waterfall, forming a river of sorts from the cave mouth all the way down to Zephyr. And at a glance to your left, you can see a large pile of rocks similar to the rock slide you had seen in the church. That appears to be blocking some of the water, and while it's not blocking it so much as to cause this cave to flood, you do notice that this entire area, like all of the different little basins and flats, are giving you about like ankle to knee deep water depending on your height. In your case, it's like close to thigh deep, at least in some parts of it. But looking past the rock slide, kind of craning your neck to see, you can see another set of stairs. These ones, at a glance, appearing to go down across the deepest part of the basin. You may have to swim some portions, but it doesn't look like there's too much in here, although that thumping sound you heard earlier is only getting louder, as if you're getting closer to it or it's getting closer to you. And Lucian, kind of glancing around cautiously, you can see several more of the lizard creatures kind of curiously observing, although in far lesser numbers than they had been previously. And whenever they see you looking at them, they immediately scurry back into hiding.
Yeah, you better run.
So the two of you looking over this massive tri-stacked cavern of basins from a waterfall that seems to have been blocked by a rock slide. What would the two of you like to do?
This is not my element, Lucifer. To be completely honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what to do.
Simple. Go back.
All right, Lucian, do you follow?
You said this is like a large cavern?
Yeah, it's fairly large. At a look, it appears to be about 30 feet across and 45 feet wide. Although that's a very rough guesstimate, it could be much larger than that.
You said aquatic assistance. You mean like a boat?
Well, no, yeah, to clarify, the cave that the waterfall appears to be originating from, yeah, like it's just rushing at you too fast. You do not estimate a non-aquatic creature could swim through that cave without some kind of help. But while there are some parts you may have to kind of trudge and swim through, the path to the staircase descending down does appear to be mostly unblocked.
As he turns away, what about the staircase? Aren't you curious?
Where are the staircases?
To the left, on the other side of the rock slide.
Where's all the water basically coming? Where's all the water?
The water is coming from a cave about up here, and like trickling down in like a waterfall. But while it looks like it was meant to flow through a tunnel down here, several rocks have fallen in a rock slide and blocked it. And you estimate this as the source of that little trickle of water you were seeing in the previous room.
Guess we could see what's there, but based off the thumping, I don't think there'd be anything good.
Well, if it is your well-being that you are concerned of, I will protect you.
My well-being is not too much. I prefer not to waste time over. But
well, what if there's something down there? Like, what if, I don't know, what if something or someone took the shipments down there? Or what if there's something down there that could help us? Or, you know, we just don't know what's down there. I just don't think it is a waste of time. You never know.
give a little side. We can go down there. So that I'm not going. Well, you may have offered protection, not the type of moment of, I guess, moment of something dangerous. Leave.
I do not get that luxury, Stepher.
I probably now.
Well, you get to leave, and I get to die. So, let's go.
Alright. Perfect.
All right. The two of you set out across the cavern, getting closer to the thumping sounds. As I said, at some points, especially you, Zephyr, but Lucy and even you, are occasionally forced to swim. And even with dark vision, the water goes down into darkness. You can't even be sure how deep it is. And the puddles
So-
can...
Have to swim.
At some portions, but like, you know, it's still enough to where you could get across. But
So I guess I should add something I told Matt. Lucian, as you see, he Zephyr, when it comes to like when you know, especially with the small body, as he when most probably more struggles very hard.
Do you need help? I won't touch you unless you say it's okay.
Guy just looks annoyed, but just tries to continue to do it himself.
I'll keep an eye on him. But I will, if I need to, I will rescue him.
okay. As you all, or rather you two, swim across the basins and craters of this cavern, the looming layers of flowing water above you. Zephyr, you're just careful to avoid the waterfalls themselves and the occasional current and torrent of water. And indeed, Lucian, you see Zephyr occasionally, like, struggling, not insofar as he would start drowning, but definitely whether it's being weighted down by his admittedly much more boisterous equipment than yours, as you tend to travel a lot lighter than he does, or something about his size and physique. You can't be sure what, but he seems to be having some difficulty swimming. But the two of you start making your way towards the staircase on the opposite end of the cavern, getting closer and closer to the ever-growing swerving back into the central room. Neon, as you continue to work on the machine, Kero, are you back with us?
Yes.
So Neon did agree to helping you move the robot, as you would need to do so to access the passenger side of the truck. So if you're okay with that and still want to access the inside.
Yeah.
Caro, you help Neon heave the security bot to the side so that it's leaning up against the cargo bed of the truck rather than against the doors. And you see several new mixtures of blood stains and, like, presumably some fluid from inside the machine just splattered up against the door. But you cautiously pull to open it as Gero bounds down the stairs to keep up with you as Zephyr and Lucian disappear upstairs. And as soon as you open the door, you kind of instinctively jump back as another one of the strange bipedal lizards jumps down as soon as the door is open. And quickly jumps and sprints to the opposite bed of rocks and hides with its brethren. As you kind of watch it go before turning your head back to the inside of the truck, you're immediately, all of you in this central room, greeted with a heinous smell as inside the truck you see several bodies. You see the grand majority of them have been bludgeoned. Massive bash wounds present on them and visibly broken bones. And Caro, at a glance, you see that the two elves in the frontmost seats appear to have parts of their stomach completely gone. Although you estimate that was these lizard-like creatures doing, rather than whatever attacked them.
Just gonna close that door.
You promptly close the door with disgust, sealing the permeating smell back into the truck. As Gil and Caleb begin to rifle through the cargo. Gil, what'd you roll for your investigation?
17.
All right. You and Caleb hop up into the cargo bed and immediately start to rifle through. You do see, as you hop into the back, several cargo crates, and immediately start to open up cases and boxes. Although, to you and Caleb's disappointment, as far as you can find, there appears to be nothing here. All of the boxes are just completely gone, and Gil, you can see that the way they're stacked says to you that like several were likely removed altogether. So several boxes are just completely missing, and the ones that are still here appear to have their contents taken out. What was being held in them, you can't begin to imagine. The crates and boxes are far too sterile. But yes, at a glance, you can tell that things were taken out of the boxes that remain, and several boxes in and of themselves were removed.
Okay, so this held a lot of good stuff, from what I could tell, or at least some sort of stuff in here.
Yeah, they definitely were
My
carrying. They
guess
definitely were
is
carrying something.
whoever- Yeah. So here's what I suggest we all do: we go back to that one place where the temple church thing, and we go find those voices. They probably took it all. And let's go beat the crap out of them and get our stuff back. Huh?
Caro, Neon.
Neon is too engrossed in the robot work.
Carol nods at Gil. Just, yes. Let us get it back.
Let the party.
And we can't let these poor guys have died for nothing.
Carol goes and taps on Neon's shoulder.
What, huh? What happened?
We're going to look for the stuff.
Care to be a bit more descriptive?
The stuff
So,
that they have.
in the back of the truck, this room,
One more
back in
time,
that
sorry.
temple area, that people we heard. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, your mic was a
just
little
cut out
fuzzy
a
there.
bit.
Okay, so Gil's is just saying that the stuff in the back of the truck was probably taken by the people in the previous temple area that we had heard as a quote-unquote donation, and that he wants to go kill them and take the stuff back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we heard that part. We just didn't hear what came after.
Oh, I didn't say anything after that.
Okay. Yeah. So, in that case, Neon, you can continue responding to Caro.
In that case, all right, let's get a move on. Although I'm not, I'd say a better approach would be to determine if they've truly done anything wrong and bring them to justice.
Question mark.
Well, let's go find. Let's go find Lucian and Zephyr. We should probably all stick together when we go to do if we're going to do something. All right.
I figured that was what I was saying.
All right.
City.
Caro, you did see Zephyr and Lucian head upstairs ahead of the group to scout, so you can point the group in the right direction. Neon, do you want to finish your repair work first, or just abandon it?
The robot's not going anywhere. I can come back later.
All right. In that
Famous
case,
last words.
since you already rolled for it, I'll say go ahead and just Nah, never mind, because yeah, we'll come back. So, all right. In that case, Gil, Caro, Neon, with Caleb in tow, you all begin to ascend to the stairs to follow after Zephyr and Lucian. But before you get there, Zephyr and Lucian, you manage to wade your way across the deepest puddles and pools of this cavern relatively easily. Zephyr having some difficulty given your issues, but you manage to cling to the top of the staircase and pull yourself free of the puddle. As Lucian, you wade. Your clothes are all soaked, but you are as fine as you're going to get. And looking down, at a glance, the staircase goes down, but not super far. And you can see that the staircase goes down into a large cavern. But Zephyr and Lucian, at your feet as you come to the edge of the staircase, the water that has been pooling is already traveling like around your ankles, past your feet, creating an odd sensation as it travels down the stairs in this like small but rapid river. And Zephyr, as you kind of start trotting to the bottom of the stairs eagerly, you see that it has been pooling in this chamber. But as you come to the bottom of the stairs, Lucian not too far behind.
Hello?
Hello.
Alright, hold on.
Our road
Yeah,
goes- Yeah, I got it. Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
Okay, headphones. I don't have time for this shit.
It's you're not on yet, so take your time. So yeah, Zephyr and
Headphones.
Lucian. As you come down to the bottom of the stairs, you see that the water that has been flowing, creating this little miniature river going down the stairs as it pools in the previous chamber, has traveled down these stairs and created a large pool. Lucian, for you, it's about waist deep. Zephyr,
Bullshit.
Zephyr, at your height, you're going to have to swim. But looking around at a glance, there doesn't appear to be...
Okay, now headphones, like you're supposed to.
There doesn't appear to be anything in here, although you do see to the right, or to your perspective right, another just pile of massive rocks. And Zephyr and Lucian, even though you couldn't hear the thumping as clearly as Zephyr could, as you both look at the pile of rocks blocking the way.
Before I throw these headphones through a fucking window because they don't want to fucking work.
As you see this massive wall of rocks and boulders.
I can hear you.
Yeah. A moment passes and you hear another, and the boulders and rocks vibrate and pebbles fall free and kind of land into the massive pool of water collecting in this chamber.
I have an idea, but we'll have to cooperate.
Wait, I think it's working now.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
I think for some reason default makes it work, but not speakers.
It happens. It's working now, that's what matters. But yeah, so Zephyr, your response?
And
Can I get a
so,
recap? I'm sorry. We were watching a movie out there.
You'll get a recap when we come back to you. There's just a Lucian and Zephyr scene right now.
Oh my god, it literally just messed up again.
But yeah, Zephyr, your response?
concern idea.
Well, the water looks a little deep for you. And it looks like does it look like it's running really fast?
Oh, it's not running. It basically is just collecting and becoming stagnant in this chamber because with the rock slide blocking the way ahead and nowhere further down to go, it looks like it's just pooling in here.
Okay, there it goes.
I think that we should at least try to get a little closer and see what that noise is, if we can be quiet.
Okay, Matthew, you're gonna have to do the recap again because it broke
yeah.
the second I left the tab.
You'll get one whenever we get back to you. It's just a Lucian and Zephyr scene right now.
Okay.
How do you plan on getting through the boulders?
Well, with your consent, of course, I was going to have you on my shoulders, so you won't have to swim. Because it looks like the water would maybe go up to here, and she like puts her like hand up to her waist, maybe. So maybe if we, get over there, we can see together.
Go over to the boulders, just deep.
Well, are you not curious?
Honestly, not too much. Sounds like whatever's in there is probably better left in there, but... And... I know the floor, how are the walls?
The walls, they look, more or less normal. They have that kind of rough-hewn, natural look as the previous. It has a similar look to the spider cavern that you had been in earlier. The walls clearly haven't been smoothed unnaturally like the previous rooms have.
Oh, Zephyr's gonna go over to the wall, kind of feel it a little bit, see how they feel.
It's a little rough to the touch. Some of the rocks are a little sharp. You imagine if it was your bare feet, it might hurt to walk on, but it wouldn't be lethal or anything.
Well, on that comment, I will proceed to walk on it.
All right. Lucian, you watch as Zephyr immediately... So, out of curiosity, how are you doing? Are you Spider-Manning it, or are you just walking vertically?
He's not gonna use his feet, or he's not gonna use his hand. He's just gonna use spider or slippers.
Slippers of spider climb. All right.
Just kind of it. Especially since first time out in the field, he's gonna give it a good feel for it, but kind of climb up the wall.
All right.
Be sideways.
All right. Oh. Lucian. Yep. Yeah. You see Zephyr kind of test the waters for a moment before walking as if it was solid ground onto the wall. Walking up to your height vertically and kind of getting a feel for how it is. Zephyr, it's a little weird having your center of gravity be changed this way without falling. You almost kind of get that instinctive gut drop, like you feel like you're gonna drop, but after a while the feeling passes as you kind of get used to the sensation and your body adjusts, and you appear to be sticking to the wall perfectly fine.
Okay, that works, I guess. And I will trudge my way through water.
All right, we'll come back to you two. Caleb, for your recap, before we cut back to the group. Lucian and Zephyr had gone up the stairs to scout ahead while you guys scavenged the area. Neon started attempting to repair the ergo spot while you and Gil scavenged the cargo hold of the truck, and Caro checked the truck to see if there was any survivors. Finding only the dead and eaten bodies of several elves who appeared to be suffering blunt weapon wounds, Caro quickly abandoned that course of action, and you and Gil, searching the cargo hold, found that several boxes of cargo were completely missing, and those that were still remained were completely empty.
Is that linked to the Roll20?
Austin, would you mind taking care of it, or?
Literally earlier.
Yeah, well, we talked a lot since then, so.
Well, I thought I pinned it.
And so finding nothing, Gil proposed that the party go back the way they came and interrogate the source of the voices you all heard in the church to see if perhaps they had something to do with the cargo theft. While Caro and Neon agreed with the course of action, proposed that it would be better to do this as a group, and said that you all should go up the stairs to regroup with Lucian and Zephyr. So Neon abandoned the repair work, although they made some progress. Some of the wires have been soldered and the motherboards reattached. And you're all heading up the stairs.
Red box.
That basically was Austin differentiating what Lucian's spell.
Amanda.
Amanda differentiating what their spell could affect. So, with that,
Again, I drew the truck.
you all. Oh, you're not taking the truck with you. Begin to make your way up the stairs. And since you weren't here previously,
You're requiring that you're the one who messes with it.
You all ascend the winding spiral staircase. It goes up and curves to the left before you find yourselves in a large chamber. There appears to be 3 layers of ground. The topmost layer having a cave with a rapidly spouting source of water that travels down the layers in a river. And it looks like it's intended to hit the opposite wall, but you see that another cave-in has blocked the way. You estimate to be the source of the trickling water source in the previous room. And because the water now has nowhere to go, you see that there's a staircase on the far left that has water traveling down it. And several pools have already formed in this room, which looks like you'll have to outright swim across some portions of this room. But it does look like there's not anything in here. You all can see the occasional Compsognathus that peeks out of their hidey holes at you and kind of... But the moment any of you look at them or pay them any mind, they immediately and scurry back into their holes.
I really like your sound effects.
Thank you. So anything in particular you guys would like to do in this chamber, or are you just going to head down the stairs? I will say, as you guys get into the chamber proper, you can hear Lucian's voice very lightly from the opposite stairwell.
I'll just keep moving to catch up with him.
Oi, Lucian!
Lucian, you hear this echoing voice from behind you.
Did that sound like you?
He thinks for a minute. Sounds stupid, so probably.
Damn! No, it sounded like stupid and kind of I don't know. Should we go back? Let's just keep going.
Gil, I will say it's a bit hard to make out, but you can hear the grand majority of this.
Guys, we have information.
The one thing that Zephyr and Lucy can actually agree on, though.
All right. Gil,
dumbass.
Gil, Caleb, and Caro, anything? Are you just going to follow Neon across the chamber, or is there anything in particular you guys would like to do?
Caleb will just follow.
Go follow.
Dude.
All right. Caro, you good to follow as well? I'll take that as a yes.
Okay, I guess it didn't come in.
Yeah, it did not. Okay. In that case, it takes a bit of effort. Caleb, you kind of hold your musket above the water in the sections where you're forced to swim, kind of doing a Vietnam-style trudge of holding your rifle out of the water as you are forced to trek.
Honestly, I don't think Caleb would know that's a problem.
Oh, fair enough. So, swimming your way through the canals and pools, you're all able to make...
skill you have to specifically have in D&D.
Yeah, true.
Wait, is it actually a skill you have to have?
Well, yeah, because there's like there's firearm proficiency and then there's like tools. So yeah, I would just assume that like yeah, it would be
It's a
something that you
skill.
would like have to either find out through experience or just like would need the existing proficiency to know that.
No, I mean, like, is swimming like a skill?
Oh,
Not to be able to swim.
there is like a thing that lets you swim like really fast, but no, like any character unless stated otherwise is assumed to be able to swim, although unless you have a specific speed like Caro does, you swim much slower than you could run.
Was it like half speed?
Yeah,
They're
generally.
difficult. They're difficult.
Yeah. But despite the terrain being difficult and Caleb, your gunpowder getting extremely soaked.
Now I know what's going to happen if I roll on that one on the next attempt to use a musket.
Yeah. You reach the opposite stairs easily enough.
I use them as clubs.
You still use them as clubs. And Caro, as you and Gil are the last to hop up onto the stairs and kind of drip some of the water off of yourselves, as Garrow kind of perches up on the top of the stairs to get out of the water. He lets out a kind of low, and Caro, you and Gil closest to the back turn to see that several of the small lizards are like kind of curiously observing you.
Every time we look at them,
Yeah,
they're like,
not this time. And I'm gonna like try to scare them.
Yeah, like without even needing to try, you like kind of just make a quick movement. They all and like scurry back into their hiding holes, and the cavern is deserted once again. All right, Lucian. Zephyr, as you start scaling the walls of the cavern, you can hear footsteps, although you recognize them and are not too concerned. As Lucian, you are rejoined by the rest of the party. As they all come down the stairs, you all find yourselves going down another staircase. The water in the previous room just traveling in a river down the stairs into this massive cavern that it appears to be. The water appears to be somewhere in the ballpark of about 3 to 4 feet tall of water. So, it's not insanely difficult, but it is a little on the deep side for some of you. Neon and Caleb closest to the front can see Zephyr like scaling the walls vertically, just walking along the rock walls as if they were ground.
I don't know if I'm going to comment on that.
Have we made it to them yet?
Yeah, everyone's gathered at the stairs now.
Caleb was
What
going to
was
look
so
at the wall and
important
say,
over here that y'all couldn't come back over there
how are you doing
when we
that?
called for you?
Like he's gonna, like, are there like handholds or something?
No, the stairs just simply go down. It doesn't look like this cavern was meant to hold water like this, so,
No, I'm talking about like, is there where like handholds to climb on the wall?
He's talking about me.
Oh. Yeah, no, at a look, there does not appear to be so. Zephyr's, and even if there were, Zephyr's not using his
You
hands,
good,
he's simply
Matthew?
walking. Oh. Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you.
Matthew?
Okay.
I hear
uh,
you.
I think he can't hear us.
Matthew?
I think he
Can you hear us?
We were merely just trying to find out what that loud noise was, and we were going to come back after we found out. So if you guys would like, you guys are kind of loud, so maybe like try to be quiet.
Yeah, we found out some information, and I'm not a complete idiot.
What kind of information?
Well, that truck back there definitely has some sort of cargo. It's missing. And the elves that were in the truck were killed with bloodshedding weapons.
Take me to them. I can talk to them. I can ask them questions.
Oh, now you're interested in coming with me, huh?
With you?
So can Matthew not hear us?
So
Hello?
we just
No,
couldn't
I
hear
think
us.
it specifically can't hear you, or you can't hear him.
Us.
No, I can hear him.
Oh yeah, like, and I can hear you fine. And Caleb, to answer your earlier question, then looking, there's not appear to be any kind of handle, and even if there were, Zephyr's not using his hands. He's simply walking as if it was solid ground.
Okay. The reason I said, "Are you good, Matthew?" is because it seems like you're mishearing things a lot. Because like I saw their handholds on like the wall, and you said, "Oh, well, it doesn't look like the cave was made for holding water."
Well, yeah, because I assumed you meant handholds, like the kind of things you would see in like a pool. But then you said no, like on the walls, and I
On
was
the
like,
wall.
oh, yeah. And
Like
so
where you
yeah,
can stick your hands to climb and shit.
yeah. So and that's why I corrected. Like, yeah, Zephyr, there does not appear to be,
Okay,
and
it
even if
seemed
there
like you
were,
weren't. It just seemed like you were misunderstanding things a lot.
um, uh, but Zephyr, you can hear the conversation happening on the stairway easily enough. Do you want to return to the group or continue your investigation of the rock wall?
I mean, Lucian's idea. I'm not gonna return.
All right.
I was
And that,
on the wall in the first place.
he was going to go check out the rock slide at Lucian's suggestion to see what was creating that sound. And speaking of which, yes, as all of you are gathered on the staircase, Zephyr was the first and only one to hear it, although Lucian can hear it now. But as you're all like talking and looking around on the staircase, you can all hear a and see some rocks and pebbles fall off of the rock walls. This just booming vibration as if it's this massive impact.
This area doesn't seem very stable.
Yeah, I'll look to Zephyr and I'll just be like, well, I guess you were right. Whatever is there does need to stay there. Shall we go to the dead people?
All right, back to the dead people.
Well, hold on. I have this on recording. You admitted I was right.
Don't get used to it.
Yeah, Zephyr, you practically twirl your parasol and do a little jig as you smirk to yourself. You are going to remember that for the rest of this adventure. Is everyone good to? Is everyone good to accompany Lucian and Gil back to the chamber where you were attacked by the compies? Then.
Yep.
Yeah.
To the dead people.
Alright.
Matt.
Oh.
Okay, now I can't hear anybody.
Well,
Is Zephyr gonna use the walls? I don't want to slip.
All right, that's fine. Easy enough to do. You have the ability. All right, let me go ahead and get rid of this as we do not need it. All right. You all return. Zephyr happily riding the emotional high of Lucian saying you were
well,
right.
I can't hear anybody, so whatever is being said is probably going to have to be repeated.
That's fine. Zephyr, you walk along the walls, looking down quite literally on the party as they are forced to swim and trudge back across the cavern. Their clothes and belongings once again being soaked heavily. They make it back to the staircase, back down the winding stairs, and Caro, Gil, and Zephyr at the head. As you make it down the stairs, you can see the compies have immediately returned and started sniffing around and scavenging. But as they
We have
see,
said multiple times, yes.
they immediately like freak out and scatter. And as you
Now there's something wrong.
as you come down to the chamber once more.
Okay, now it's
With you all returned to the chamber, I'll take this one. I'll take this one
figure
at a
out
time.
what arrangement of things this is going to work with.
Zephyr, what would you like to do now that you're back, if anything?
He'll just stick with the
Okay,
party.
now
One more time, Zephyr. Sorry.
okay,
He'll
I
just stick with
can't
the party for now.
get any of this
Alright.
to work.
All right. Neon and Caro.
We're just going to try something else.
What,
This
Neon,
isn't working.
Neon and Caro, what are the two of you going to be doing?
well, I'm gonna get back on that robot.
All right. Make me another intelligence with proficiency check. Mm-hmm.
All Intelligence. Intelligence plus proficiency, so that plus 3. Okay, so 17 plus 3, so 23.
All right.
Wait.
Oh.
Wait. No, I'm sorry. 17 plus. No, even 20. My bad. It already added the 3 from intelligence, and I'm just doing that.
It's all good. All right, so Neon, you will resume your work on the construct. Kara, what are you doing, if anything? All right, we'll come back to you. Gil and Lucian, what are the two of you doing?
I think I'm going to pick up the dead little lizards, and I'm going to start working on a nice little campfire while waiting.
Right.
I'm gonna go to the dead people. Does anybody want to come listen to what they have to say?
Here.
Okay.
They whisper, not can't hear.
I really hate doing this.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Heard you for a while.
Okay, you can hear me.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you the whole time. It's just you didn't hear us.
All right.
Well, no, there was a period of time when y'all stopped hearing me. Where I
Well,
said
we
it's
can hear you now.
cooperating now.
You guys are back in the compy room. Gil is collecting some of them to start cooking them up over a campfire. Lucian's going to resurrect the fallen elves and try and get some information out of them.
Raise.
Well, when you say resurrect.
Well, you know what I mean. And Neon
I can't
is
control the volume, but I have it working.
Neon is currently back to trying to repair the Edict robot. And Neon, to your frustration, as you dig into the chest cavity again, you see that some of the lizards immediately tore apart some of the wires you had been soldering earlier.
I want to grab just like a random piece of metal out of it, just a random piece of metal, and I'm gonna chuck it across the room, just at the wall, just in frustration.
Caleb, if you're good, do you want to help anyone with what they're currently doing, or join Caro and Zephyr in just surveying the room while everyone does their business?
He will survey the room.
All right. So, you all taking up a sort of triangular observance position. Zephyr watching the direction you know the voices to be coming from, as thankfully, unless something breaks down that rock wall, it appears that all exits coming down the stairs have been covered, as far as you can tell. And Neon, focused on your repairs. Caro, Caleb, and Zephyr, you all watch as Lucian pulls the door open. And Lucian, similar to Caro, you're greeted with this heinous smell of rotten, half-eaten bodies. I mean, it still doesn't smell pleasant, even
Nothing
if you're
I'm
used
not
to
used
it.
to.
And Gil, for the fuck of it, go ahead and make me a survival check. You may not have time to start a campfire if the group moves on too quickly, but just so we have your check on standby.
Before I do my spell, could I quickly try to assess what happened to them?
Make me a medicine check.
Cool.
And Gil, just keep your survival on hand. I don't need it right away.
That was
but
a 5.
all right, noted. But yeah, so Lucian medicine.
That is a 25.
All right, Lucian, you have some intimate experience, pardon my phrasing, with the dead, and looking over them, there's 3 bodies in this truck in total, which does kind of strike you as odd, as there are seats available for 4, but you estimate that there could possibly be, have been someone sitting in the back or something. Of the 3 elves, they appear to all be male, looking over them, similar to Caro, you estimate that their wounds were from blunt force trauma. You spot several broken bones, several open wounds created from just sheer blunt force cascading into them. And you do notice a few things Caro hadn't. Similar to Caro, you do notice their stomachs and the one in the back, even their throat, have been torn open. Although you estimate that to have been done by the lizards, not by their whoever killed them. As you can see in those wounds, several eaten parts. What does strike you as unusual is the consistency of a very nasty looking burn on the center of each elf's forehead.
Okay.
Other than that, nothing about them strikes you as odd. 3 male elves seem to have died from blunt force trauma, and all possessing a perfectly circular burn wound going through their heads.
I'm just writing down my
surveying the room.
notes. Hang on.
Mm-hmm. Caleb, you kind of pace around a bit.
All right.
I got a question.
What's up?
With that burn mark that she's pointing out, does it look like it could have been caused by a laser pistol?
Make an investigation check at disadvantage, because while you possess one, you have never actually seen one fired.
Well,
You can't tell, although looking closer at it as Lucian points this out to you, you can see that there doesn't appear to be any marking to it, so you know it definitely wasn't like a branding or anything, as there's no like iconography or like symbology on it, but it is just a circular burn that carves through the flesh of the center of the forehead. That's about all you
Does
know.
it go all the way through, or does it go just through the brain?
Yes, it appears to go all the way through, although it is an imperfect cut. Like, the entry point is a perfect circle, but the exit point is a lot sloppier.
I'll turn to Gil. My hypothesis is probably the same as yours. I would probably guess a laser pistol as well.
so they weren't just dead; they were shot for good measures.
Well, I could ask them.
Oh, they would know if they were shot.
She
afterwards.
takes a. No. She's gonna take a very, very deep sigh and close her eyes and hold on to her symbol. All right. She swallows. I will cast Speak with the Dead on the elf closest to me.
All right, that'll be the one on the right hand, on the shotgun seat where Caleb had been sitting, and Caro, the one that you knew one of these lizards had been feasting on before jumping out startled when you had opened the door initially. So you cast Speak with Dead?
Yes.
All right. Okay, just reviewing the spell to make sure this will work. Yep, it appears so. Okay. There's a long pause before suddenly the half-eaten body begins to twitch and shiver and shake before like reanimating as its eyes open. And similar to your talk with the elvish captain of the deserters, its form is incomplete and jittery and definitely not a proper reanimation, and it's sickening for all of you to look at, but especially Lucian, as the elf, this elvish man with hair that appears to have been dyed a like bright salmon red, but the dye is giving way to a more natural copper red shade. As the elf turns to look at you, Lucian, with just glassy, like sunken eyes, and just stares at you.
My first question: what happened to this caravan?
Air goats. They came out of the walls.
Well,
The body falls silent and just continues to stare at you.
Where is the shipment?
Gone.
Do you know who took it?
Ergos.
Very cryptic answer. Expecting.
That's 4, right?
3. What happened to the caravan? What happened to the cargo? And where did they take it?
Who took it?
Mm.
What happened to you?
Beat me down. No survivors.
Okay, so what were the other questions and what was the answer? I'm sorry. I heard the last one.
I'm writing them down. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was who took the cargo, Ergos, they came out of the walls. Or no, that was what happened to the caravan, Ergos, they came out of the walls. Who took it, Ergos, where did the cargo go, we don't know. And then the last one.
Wait. 4, right?
Yeah, that was 4, so she has one more.
Last question. Are you lost from the mother?
Sent us to make a delivery and come back.
well, and there's our answer.
Yeah, Lucian, you hear the muffled voice of Neon from inside the chassis of the security bot.
And there we are, folks.
I will gently put him back and put my hand over his eyes so that they close. Thank you.
As the breath of the half-life you had instilled in this body vanishes, one final death rattle escapes it, and under your hand the eyes close, leaving you back in the silence of the caverns. Neon, Lucian doing this and your previous repair attempts have overall given you enough time to, you presume, get the machine back in working order. What was your roll with the final intelligence check?
I think it was an even 20.
Yeah, yes, okay. So?
Yeah, even 20.
Yep, all right. Resoldering the wires that the compy so rudely bit back open in your absence. And finishing what repairs you can make. Like I said, you with your current parts, cannot repair the chassis itself and get the machine physically working, but you do believe you can restore the AI. And sure enough, Lucian, as you step away and shut the truck door, giving the bodies their privacy, as the smell still kind of stains the room now, has had been open for quite some time. You all look in some of your cases, especially Uragil, kind of like instinctual panic as Neon, you step away and the lights on the diving helmet of the security bot blink on with a bright blue light. And the head kind of looks up at you, looks to everyone else in the chamber before turning back to you, and lets out what to the bulk of you sounds like gobbledygook, but those of you who can speak Undercommon hear it say, "Activated and ready for orders."
I believe I can speak under. Yes, I can. I can speak Undercommon. Cool. So he can't really do much.
He can move his head and talk. That's all he can do right now.
That's all he can do. Okay. Would I be able to get it to play? Like, basically, would I be able to get it to play back what happened in the moments leading up to its previous deactivation?
Visually or auditorily?
Either or. Visual would be preferable, but if that's not an option, then audible.
You, I believe, have a PDA with you, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, my wrist gauntlet could kind of count.
All right. In that case, make me a hacking tools check.
I have a hacking tools. What was that again? Intelligence?
Intelligence and proficiency.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Okay, let's see here. Oh, this time it's actually 23.
Yeah, because if I recall correctly, you basically have your gauntlet for Morrigan, and then your other hand is a smaller gauntlet made from a security bot.
That's right.
All right. What was it again?
23 this time.
Got it. You start to approach the machine and get up into its cranium. It's a bit odd to be digging in the essential skull of a living being, but it kind of looks down at you, and you see the lights kind of flicker a little bit with your intrusion. Intrusion detected.
There's no intrusion.
The lights kind of flicker a little bit before staying on the blue light as you get some data, what's left of its damaged memory banks, and insert them into your gauntlet to be displayed on your PDA. Do you want to show what you're about to see to the rest of the party?
Yes, I will.
All right. So, for like sake of convenience, is anyone specifically not going to watch?
No, Gil's watching.
All right. Kara, you good as well? And Caleb, I'm assuming you're going to watch. Kara, you good? If you're talking, we can't hear you. But if not, I will assume so and proceed. All right. Neon, as you connect the feed of its memory to your data pad from Ergos, you all watch as it's a bit staticky at first, but the screen does slowly flicker to life. You see the same view that similar to what you guys have been seeing right now, and what you had been seeing for the past few days. You see the somewhat elevated perspective, as these are rather tall robots, of the robot sitting on its own in the cargo hold of this truck. You see, Gil and Caleb, you see that the cargo hold is much fuller than it had been previously. None of the missing boxes gone at this point. The truck is moving, and it's a bit hard to guesstimate, but Lucian, you pick up on it most immediately. You're seeing the robot as it watches the views you've all been walking through, passing it by backwards as it heads upward, but is basically watching the back of the truck while sitting in the cargo hold. You can hear some muffled conversation from the front of the truck, you presume, although you can't hear clear enough to estimate what they're actually saying. And after a moment, the truck comes to a stop, and you recognize it as coming to a stop in the chamber you are all currently in. And the robot kind of looks around and lets out a very curious and starts to pick itself up and walk across before jumping off of the cargo bed. And you watch as its view cranes around to see the front of the truck, as you see Lucian, the same elf you had just spoken to, but alive and well, stepping out of the shotgun seat, along with an unfamiliar elf, an elvish woman with very deeply pale skin. You can tell from her skin and eyes that she must have been living down here for a long time. And her red hair is this like deep bloody color that's almost reminiscent of a dark elf. But at a glance, she does appear to be a light elf, or possibly an incredibly pale wood elf, although this feed is a bit distorted and it's hard to tell. The elf you had been speaking to, Lucian, and this female elf appear to be in the midst of an argument. It's all taking place in Elvish, but the bulk of you can speak it. Those of you who can speak Elvish hear them going back and forth. The deeper accented voice of the male elf and the much harsher and lighter voice of the female. I'm telling you, we can't keep stopping every 10 minutes. I'm telling you, I just need a second to use the bathroom. That's all I need. We're almost there. Just go when we get there. You said it yourself. We're almost there. Just let me go now, and then we can be on our way. We're almost there. They're not going to kill us for being 5 minutes late. Okay. And he kind of hesitates and then like approaches her, and he starts to kind of whisper at this point, but the robot is approaching, and you're still able to hear. You've been delaying us every 5 minutes for crap like this. Why? I'm not delaying us for anything. I just think we should be careful. We're in the depths of the Underdark. Anything could happen. I know anything could happen. That's what the truck is for. That's what the big robot's for. That's what I'm for. Your job is to tell us where we're going and shut the fuck up elsewise. And there's a very harsh pause between the two of them before you hear this sound of cracking rock. The two elves pause, and you hear a third unfamiliar voice, presumably coming from the truck. You guys hear that? Before the robot's head suddenly swivels violently as you all see the wall where the rock slide had taken place, although the rocks do not appear to be there. The path that the now currently proudly flowing river had been cutting through in this cavern opens up into a cave mouth that's being dug open by the very wicked-looking pickaxe of a saurian, a lizard man. Behind him, an army of dark elves, all wielding very harsh, shiny-looking maces and hammers. Their armor is like bright tropical colors that stick out a bit in the darkness of the cavern, but it almost has that shiny texture of like an insect's chitin. And immediately the elves and Saurian go after the two elves. But as the male elf reaches for his weapon and the robot immediately goes into sentry mode, as its head swivels around to bring its massive guns to bear, you all see the female elf grab the male elf and force his hands behind his back. as she forces him to the ground and says, "All right, guys, I got him. Let's go!" And the robot gives a harsh, and its feed suddenly abruptly cuts to static as you see the chitinous mace of a dark elf come swinging at its helmet. And the feed cuts to static.
So the big guy that was being mean and had the accent, that was the one that was spoken to?
Yeah, that was the one Lucian briefly revived to
Okay.
interrogate.
Okay.
Bean.
And with the armor of the dark elves that came through, do I recognize it? Would I know, like, who they are military-wise?
Make a history check at disadvantage.
May I do a check as well?
Make a history check, straight roll.
Caleb is like, no, seems like that situation went exactly to somebody's plan.
That's 18.
Okay, 18 for Gil. Lucian?
23.
All right. Neon and Caro and Zephyr, you all just kind of stare at the static as Caleb says this, and Lucian and Gil, by your best recollection, you recognize that armor to be the unique sort of trademark armor of the Ergos Republic, the Republic of Dark Elves. Gil, you have not directly encountered them in military bouts. However, you have seen them and heard talks about them before. The Ergos Republic has not had a history of military conflict with the Geogran territories. However, you do know that the Geogans have always had a bit of a sore spot with Ergos, as the Ergos Republic, as mentioned previously, was a sect of the Thieves Guild in Yav that somehow, to this day, nobody knows quite how, built up enough money and authority to force your father into a situation where the only option was to sell them the land that they currently occupy. Nobody knows exactly how much was offered, but it must have been a lot to convince the imperialistic Geograns to part with land willingly.
Does Caleb know if the Tebadrians had any contact with Ergos, considering Ergos was formed from thieves and
From your history check you made a couple sessions ago, you would know that while they're not allies per se, they do have a very hesitant relationship of, hey, we're both thieves, so we'll help each other out if it's convenient, but they've never been such close allies as to outright help each other out until relatively recently. But even then, the alliance is unofficial and more just like, hey, we're friends and we get along, so if you attack them, you might get on our bad side. So no official alliance has been announced, but there is a sort of understanding politically that Ergos and Tebadra are friends at the very least, if not allies.
Would either of Caleb's parents have been to the Ergos Republic for anything?
It was mentioned before, your parents have traveled through the Ergos Republic before, and the Ergos Republic offers shelter to Tebadran raiders who are on the way to territories past them. Basically, the Tebadrans know they can go to the Ergos Republic for shelter and vice versa, but beyond that, they typically don't provide direct help, but they do happily offer shelter to Tebadran raiders passing through the area, including your parents who had traveled through the area on the raid that,
Which one is older, Tebadra or the Ergos Republic?
The Ergos Republic is older, but not by too much. Tebadra was formed not too long after Ergos was founded.
So everybody was shocked by a bunch of thieves had the money to form a kingdom, and then a bunch of bandits had the money to form a kingdom.
Although in Tebadra's case, it was less money and more they had the land and the manpower to defend it. Basically, Ergos established themselves economically, whereas Tebadran used their military to establish power.
I didn't realize Tebadra had a military. I thought it was kind of an informal thing of the bandits will fight things that attack them.
I mean, yeah, like a Kingdom of Bandits doesn't exactly get money flowing through pacifistically. um, but yeah, so yeah, as you last heard, the Kingdom of Tebadra and the Argos Republic are friends, but aren't officially announced as allies. Although you can, of course, guesstimate, given President Argos and King Tebadra's presence in the Scar Concord, that has since changed.
Yeah. So does Caleb know anything about them because of that, or is that the extent of what he knows?
I'll let you make another history check.
All right, then.
You technically made one before, but I'll allow you another one.
22.
You don't know too much more beyond, as of course you've never been there yourself. But from what your parents have told you in their time passing through the area, the only thing you don't already know that your parents would have told you, like that hasn't already been previously established, is that your parents often talked very fondly of the Argos Republic and its lands. From what you understand, the lands are rather beautiful, and your parents often talked in particular about a fabulously bejeweled temple, almost as if the thieves were intent on showing just how wealthy they were, and would often adorn their structures with gems.
Birth parents or adoptive parents, by the way?
Birth parents, since they were the ones who actually traveled out there. Your adopted family didn't talk about Argos.
Never had any kind of like visits to Argos or anything because of the close relationship?
Yeah, no, I was about to comment. Despite you knew in passing that your father and Argos clearly had some kind of friendship, but you had never met any Argosians yourself, and your father very rarely talked about them outside of just those passing mentions that if worse comes to worse, Argos is a sort of friend that they can sort of rely on if it's convenient for them.
Fair enough.
I will say your father seemed fonder of the Argosians than he was of pretty much anyone else. They were one of two kingdoms that he ever said a nice word about.
Well then.
In the meantime, Neon, the staticky feed finally cuts completely to black. It seems you have exhausted the bulk of this machine's memory banks, as it seems it was destroyed rather abruptly in the conflict.
Officer Neon, is there a way that you could put that on could we show that to the mother somehow?
You mean bring it back?
Well, I mean, not us, but maybe Barry could.
I imagine that would be very simple to do, Matthew.
Yes, we've established before that if you safely remove the head of the machine, most of its memory banks are stored there. So you could, in theory, simply pass the head along, and someone with the right technology and training could extract the memories just as you had.
Very easily, in fact.
I imagine somebody like her would know how to do that. So why don't we go to her? Go to Barry. Give him that. Tell him that we found the caravan, but not the shipments. But we have a lead on the shipments.
All right. And I climb up onto the robot and grab its head. All right, here we go. And I very, with much difficulty, rip its head straight off, with it presumably going, "Ow, no, please, ah, ooh."
So are you just gonna try and fucking pull it off raw strength, or actually remove it properly?
No, actually remove it properly.
Okay. Make me a
rip its head off.
Yeah. Make me a Tinker's Tools check.
All right, that's Dex and proficiency. Yes.
No, this I'm also going to count as intelligence since, you know, it's like mechanical work.
Okay. Let's see. 16.
All right. You break out your tools and start carefully separating the rivets and welding that connect the machine's head to its body. In the meantime, Lucian and Gil, what are the two of you doing? Gil, I imagine you're still collecting compies and starting a campfire?
No, I've actually changed my mind. I'm looking at the rubble with the wall of rocks where the Argonian,
Argosian.
Argos people came through.
Those damn air goats people.
Okay.
Is it completely collapsed, or could I get through?
It appears to be like you can clearly see that there's like rocks and rubble, but it does appear to be completely collapsed. You imagine you, in theory, could dig through, but you imagine, depending on how deep it goes, it could probably take you quite a while. It would likely be very exhausting. As you look over the rubble, Lucian, what are you doing?
Okay.
Not sure. I'm gonna sit down for a little bit and just kind of sulk. I didn't like having to do that.
All right. Caleb, are you doing anything? You see your brother is patrolling the hallway between this chamber and the church.
Oh yeah, actually, you see, kind of wander off, like a little bit off, not too far, but just kind of wander off, like deep thought, and just seems like he just lost some thought.
Absentmindedly, I'll just say to Zephyr, "Don't go too far. We're going back."
Kate will be like, I'll follow him.
All right. Caleb, you follow after your brother, who, as he said, seems deeply lost in thought as he walks through the smooth stonework tunnel separating this chamber from the church. Seeming more like he just genuinely didn't even like take in what Lucian said, as opposed to going out of his way not to listen to her.
Just put my head in my hands and just whatever.
All right. Neon, it takes you some time, but you do start making progress on removing the robot's head. You're about halfway done. Zephyr, Caleb appears to be following after you. If you take that in, how far are you willing to wander?
He wasn't gonna go like very far. I was just wanted to kind of like somewhat separate from the group, just wanted to give himself some time to think about like next.
All right. So Caleb, Zephyr doesn't go too far, seeming content, kind of stopping in the middle of the hallway, seeming more like he just needed some space and just parasol in hand, just deep in thought. This deeply contemplative and almost curious look on his face. Neon, it takes you some time, but you manage to safely remove the machine's head. Occasionally, you simply have to give it reassurances in Undercommon that, you know, you're here on authority, you're following orders. The machine isn't panicking, and the closer you get, the more you seem genuinely uncertain if it's like fully aware of its situation. But as you reach the last divot, you gently pull the head free, the wires safely severing since you took the time to remove it carefully, and now hold the head of the security bot in your arms. Bum, bum, bum. All right.
Let's get out of here.
Neon, Gil.
I don't know what you see is what I'm doing yet.
I'm ignoring it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I'll let you finish.
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we have to find out what was making the caravans go missing and then rectify that?
You basically your exact instructions from the mother were find out exactly what happened to the caravan and report back. But as Barry himself noted, his job is to get you guys here, make a quick delivery for the mother, and then report back to her with the information you guys found. The reason you guys took this job, or at least for some of you, was Barry's basically gave you a free ride to the outskirts of the Argos Republic, and at this point, slightly into the borders of the Argos Republic through the Underdark. And basically, in exchange for helping the mother with this, getting her the information so that Barry can report back, he's going to make a quick delivery for her in Argos, and you guys are free to do what you want once this job is done. So basically, by the letter of what she asked you to do, once you give that head to Barry and tell him what you found, your job is done. Barry can take it from there, although he did say he'd be willing to give you guys a ride with him into Argos if you pay.
All right, I guess our jobs are done, so I guess we could head back.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. We're done here. Let's go. Zav, are you coming? We're done. The job's done.
Ahead of you.
He's ahead of you.
Zephyr's getting in the car. Is like, hey, you coming with us, Zephyr?
Yeah, what's taking you so long? Zephyr drives away.
Zephyr's already just gone.
Yeah, Zephyr just steals Barry's car.
I'm not driving. I'd be too small. I wouldn't be able to reach the pedals. Wouldn't be able to reach the pedals.
Cinder blocks.
Yeah.
He just has cinder blocks in his car.
Or you could just take a rock from the cave.
All right, Gil, are you good to follow?
Put strings to the rocks to adjust.
I am going to grab a few more of the little rat body, the little bodies to take with us.
All right.
What are you going to eat them?
From your earlier survival check, I'll say you're able to gather up about 6 of them, enough so that you could roast them over a spit and everyone in the party could eat dinner. But you're going to have to cook them soon.
I am not eating that. I have vegetables.
Yeah, well, I said enough, not that everyone would do it. But so Gil, you may add 6.
Tastes like chicken.
6 Compsognathus bodies
I don't like chicken.
To your inventory. So Zephyr and Caleb, unless the two of you have any objections, the group will work their way back the way they went.
Can we say with keen mind that I can kind of figure out the way back?
Well, I mean, it's not particularly hard. The rooms are relatively identifiable.
I didn't go very far.
All right. So, you guys work your way back through the church that had sustained a nasty rock slide, down the creeping hallways.
Do I still hear the voices?
Make a perception check.
Could I?
Yeah.
23.
And what, Neon?
I was gonna say, could I also do it, but never mind. He's got it handled.
You still can if you want, just so multiple characters can contribute.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is hearing based, so I believe you get advantage on this.
Yeah, because I got my big
ears.
old ears. Yeah, my big old ears.
Yeah, so I'll say you guys are in the center of the room.
Okay. Ooh, boy. 22.
All right. As you guys work your way back through the church, taking the long way around so that you all can listen, Gil and Neon keeping your your special ears peeled. You don't hear any more voices. However, you do still hear the distant.
The creature.
And I'll say, while the voices do not appear to be engaged in active conversation anymore, Neon and Gil, as the two of you are listening, you do hear the. This is all in Undercommon, so bear that in mind. But in Undercommon, you both do hear the occasional, like, "Don't touch that! That's mine!" And like
Haven down here.
some very light, like, struggling and squabbling, but nothing direct or particularly engaging for the two of you. Just like basically whatever was talking is clearly still in there, along with whatever's making that sound.
Should we go check that out before we head out?
I agree. I don't
I
feel
would
right.
prefer not to.
Yes,
I
why
don't feel right.
towards the sound of the loud stomping? Probably something big. Doesn't sound
Question,
like a great
DM.
idea.
Answer player.
From my previous encounters with them, does this perhaps maybe sound like one of those robots?
Make a. I'm going to call this a nature check.
Okay.
Can Caleb help with identifying the sound?
Lucian, make a nature check with advantage. But give me both results for flavor.
Natural 20. I got a 12 and a natural 20.
All right.
On the second roll?
Yeah, so
My first roll was a natural 20, and the second one was a 12.
all right.
Oh, okay. First roll 20, second roll 12.
All right. This time, Lucian and Caleb, the two of you, listen cautiously at the distant rumbles, and by you two's best judgment, you both estimate that this doesn't have that same exact sound to it. Granted, the acoustics of a cavern could be like affecting your judgment, but by both of your best judgments, while it does not sound exactly like an edict robot, it does definitely have an artificial quality to it. You hadn't noticed it before, but both of you pick up on this now. It is rhythmic. It doesn't sound like walking. It sounds like a very practiced mechanical like structure. Like it's not random. The spaces between smashes are consistent and constant.
I will relay that to the party. It doesn't sound like a creature. It sounds like... It doesn't sound like, the automations. It sounds... It's kind of hard to describe.
Caleb was like, well, either way, in my experience, things that stomp that loudly are usually things that are pretty deadly.
Which is precisely why I'd like to find out what it is.
Why should we search out danger?
I'm a police
I was
officer.
thinking he is an officer.
Some of us have integrity.
There's no one down here for it to hurt.
I'm actually within this time. It's not hurting anything, and we don't know what it's doing down here. I don't think it's bothering anything down here.
How many dead bodies were in the truck again, DM?
3.
But we know what caused that, and it wasn't the stomping.
Whatever.
And they
don't
could
know
be
that.
connected.
We don't know completely.
I don't think
Exactly,
dark elves
so-
sound that loud when they walk. I mean, I've never met the dark elf, so I wouldn't know, but
I've met the dark elf. She did not sound like that.
DM, were there any
What, does she
passageways that
sound
we
Maggie?
One more time.
were there any passageways that we didn't go down? It's kind of hard to tell with the map.
yeah, there's one
Uh,
right in front of us.
Yeah. There's one directly in front of you, which is where you're hearing the
Okay.
voices from, and the path to the left originally that you didn't take.
I would like to go down that passageway that we haven't explored yet.
Okay.
And I will follow.
Okay.
Neon walks away. They're pulling a Zephyr.
Neon has integrity.
It works.
He's pulling a Zephyr.
And I'm gonna follow Neon because I'm curious about this thing, and I still think that these guys might have something to do with the raid.
Okay.
Possibly.
Zephyr, closest to the door, you see Neon and Gil going on ahead, Gil following behind Neon. Zephyr, what would you like to do?
He will kind of just give out a sigh and just follow.
All right.
See, they're pulling a Zephyr.
Whoops.
Caro, astride Garrow, kind of pulls at Garrow to get his attention and wait for me, and starts. Garrow starts.
Okay.
They're just away right now, and pulls Garrow to keep up with the group. Lucian, you look to your left and see Caleb has also joined.
Well, we
following
might as well commit to. Well, it's better if we all commit to it.
And with that, you see Caleb joining the march between Zephyr and Gil.
I'll take the rear.
All right.
But you know, they always attack the front first, then the rear, so that you can't advance, but you can't retreat.
So,
I said what I said.
Off we go.
Things get very tight. We might have to do some squeezing to get
I think
through
we're
here.
here. It's just a small.
I move my.
all right. So, with the marching order established, you guys proceed down the dark hall. This hall is made of the same smooth, smooth layer of stone craftsmanship that the previous chambers have. That like artisans stonework rather than the natural work of a cave. And as you make a right turn and the tunnel starts to get a little bit narrower, although still maintaining that smooth stone, you're all forced to bunch up a little bit tighter, but luckily the marching order as you intended it has not been disrupted. And
Like a line, and then we have the rogues flanking the line.
right now, in this hallway, it's Zephyr up front and you behind Zephyr, but you do see the cavern looks like it's about to open up if you want to execute such a strategy.
That's what we're doing right now. We got Neon, Gil, Caro, and Garrow, and Lucian all in a line, and then.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought you meant flanking like one of you on each side. Okay.
We're
so-
flanking on one side.
So, as you proceed down the skinnier hallway, the cavern suddenly opens up. You find yourselves in a massive... Zephyr, please. You find yourselves in a massive chamber, all of the walls adorned with that same smooth stonework. Although you notice this room also has those stained glass images that have shattered in presumably whatever series of rock falls caused the cave-ins around this area. In this cavern, it's louder than ever. but you cannot immediately see what's causing it. I will also say, for sake of clarification, I didn't have a way to demonstrate it, so I will use a little cube here to demonstrate it. This area up the stairs is elevated from the rest of the cavern. You see a massive, smooth carved cavern. The high towering walls adorned with stained glass that have since shattered, leaving just empty, soulless stone behind them. You see a massive set of stairs, about similar in scale to the ones in the actual church building you had been in, going up to an elevated part of the cavern, where those of you of religious inclination would recognize this area as a place of worship, a place of actual worship, where the priest would stand on this elevated platform and give sermons to the waiting masses below. But the podium has been discarded and tossed to the side. The stained glass has shattered. You see two caves, one going to the left, one to the right, this way and this way, to be clear. But that's not the thing that catches your attention most immediately.
See the thing doing the thing.
You all see, they don't appear to have noticed you yet, as you guys have not stepped out into the cavern proper. But you all can see from your hallway, as you creep along carefully, Neon and Zephyr up at front, and the rest of you starting to pick up the rear. You see... Neon, for a point of clarity, you have dark vision, correct?
Yes, I do. 60 feet of it, to be correct. To be exact.
Okay, just make sure. Neon and Zephyr, the two of you see...
No, they can't. That's beyond 60 feet.
Well, yeah, so while you can't see it, Zephyr, I'm assuming your dark vision is similar?
Yeah, it's a 60. I think only drow or...
Yeah, I go to all the way to 120.
Yeah, or sight.
Yeah, so while you can't see them yet, you do see the elevated the stairs going up to the elevated platform.
Sorry, Neon and Zephyr, but I had to check.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was actually checking as I was talking, so I could correct myself as I was going. So you're fine. Basically, I would have fucked them over anyway. But while you can't see anything yet, you can immediately hear that thumping noise is a lot louder, and you can hear the speaking in undercommon much clearer. Whatever it is in the same room as you now, or very, very close. As again, you hear more like "Get off of me!" and some squabbling and fighting.
I would like to move up a bit.
He didn't describe the ceiling. I remember that story.
Remember that story? We had the situation earlier.
He once told a story about how he was for some people, and he described the room, and the one said, "Wait, I wanted to roll perception for what's on the ceiling because you didn't describe the ceiling."
Yeah, so something must be wrong.
So,
I'll say this.
Lucian will kind of say in a hush voice, "Guys, I have an idea."
Let's hear it.
Concern.
What was Matthew gonna say?
Oh, I was just going to say the ceiling goes up very high beyond any of your ranges of dark vision, although Zephyr and Neon, from your best guesstimate, the ceiling is rather high and seems to coalesce in a dome-like, cathedral-esque roof. Again, it appears that this is a place of worship of some kind. All right, Lucian, your idea?
So this is a place of worship, right?
Right.
And these are probably creatures of the Underdark, right? So I was thinking, I obviously hide my symbol, but what if I pretend to be a priest?
Don't see that work.
And I don't see that working either.
Convince them that you're somewhat. That just happened.
I could see several problems. They may not even be the same people who worshipped here.
I say.
They may not be the same people who worshipped here,
spell.
though. That's a
Hey guys,
possibility.
I'm new. I don't even know who I'm supposed to worship, but hey.
They obviously worship arachnid.
Well, how do you know
It's
that they are
very
the ones who
obvious.
worshipped here? How do you
Well-
know that they aren't just squatters who've moved in?
Totally do your idea, but
We know that they're not.
we don't know either way. But I mean, go ahead. Do
I
your
love
idea.
that logic. We don't know that they're not.
Uno reverse. Go ahead.
I mean,
So-
it was just an idea. Does anybody else have an idea?
I do.
What's your
Yeah,
idea?
Let's go in and kill them.
Oh, let's not kill random people. That's why would you say that?
Well, there could be
Uh,
valuables in there that they've stolen, and then
DM,
we
I'm
could
going
steal
to
the valuables from them.
DM. I'm going to
Yeah, but that
very
doesn't mean that
carefully.
they deserve to die.
I'm going to
But
very
that doesn't mean we
carefully
don't deserve to have gold.
walk further into the room.
Yeah.
Are you trying to be stealthy or no?
Yes, I'm definitely trying to be stealthy.
Okay, roll a stealth check.
I will. Stealth is my forte. Even 20.
All right.
14 plus 6.
All right. As the party descends into madness behind you, as you've come to expect, debating whether to kill or not to kill potential worshippers, potential squatters who may or may not have valuables that may or may not be stolen, you creep very quietly and carefully further into the chamber, seeing the looming walls and ceiling of a seemingly long abandoned and destroyed church around you. As you make your way closer to the massive staircase that separates the priest from his worshippers, you begin to make out the figures that the voices are coming from. You immediately pull your ears back in repulsion as you see you almost mistake them for humans initially, but as they turn, not to look at you, but just kind of turn in your direction, you see these small, squat humanoids with fish-like features, wide gaping mouths, bulging eyes, visible gills on the neck, fins creeping out from their backs and wrists and legs, webbing between their fingers and toes, dressed in very ratty looking clothes that look like they were stolen from a much wealthier to do person, but have since been mistreated and abused to the point of becoming tatters. You see two on the bottom layer, somewhat close to you, like if they took a dead sprint at you, arguing amongst themselves over something or other. You can't see it, but just like, I saw it first! No, it's mine! And this is all happening in Undercommon. And up on the elevated area, you see one larger one with a bulging fat neck sitting atop a pile of just kind of miscellaneous objects, with a few of these strange fish folk flanking him on either side, just grinning happily, and occasionally one like reaches towards the pile of loot and he kind of like jabs at him with a very primitive but harsh and serrated spear, and just like, no touch! I said we wait for the boss.
One of them has a fat neck.
Yeah, the one sitting on the pile of loot.
Is it like the Goblin King from The Hobbit?
Less like that and more like travel neck pillow fat.
Okay.
What
I don't know what that means.
Like those like, they look like donuts if you took like a little section out and you put them around your neck.
Yeah, basically it's not all hanging down his front, it's like circular around his head. Kind of creating this like donut-like structure of fishy gray flesh.
And fish people?
Yeah, they have like fish-like traits at least.
Of course, Caleb can actually see them because he is human boy who cannot see in dark.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, all those of you who can't understand Undercommon just hear like babbling, but Neon, much closer up, yeah, you can see them like squabbling over the loot and like filching some of it. And the fat one sitting on the pile of treasure, well, treasure quote unquote, just grins happily, seeming content to just sit on his hoard. They do not appear to have noticed you.
No, I'm gonna go back to the group rather than be rash.
More.
You all see Neon kind of.
No. What did you say?
She was going on like furthermore.
Oh, okay.
And you all, so as you guys are still arguing, you see Neon scuttle back to the group and rejoin you.
Scuttle? He's a fucking beetle.
I always describe small characters as scuttling.
That's fair. All right. So I know roughly what we're dealing with. Like count them up: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Roughly 7 fish people. Don't know if that rings a bell to any of you.
Does that ring a bell to Caleb?
Right.
Yep. Both of you make history checks.
They don't seem too friendly so far.
That's a 7.
Well, I doubt they're worshippers then.
They didn't seem the religious type, but you never know.
That's going to be a dirty 20.
Caleb, you and Lucian rack your brains for going off of just the sheer description Neon gave you, and neither of you have heard of anything like this. There are merfolk, of course. There are occasionally tales of monsters fitting something loosely akin to the description Neon has been giving you, but you don't know a whole lot about them. Caleb, you haven't even heard of anything like this outside of the merfolk, and Lucian, the most you have to go on is the occasional like myth or fairy tale of humans with fish-like traits that abduct children and take them to the caves, but just stories, nothing concrete.
The people of Outsbutt.
Yes, Lucian never read the works of Lovecraft.
She's not
Hey, did everybody like Outsbutt? Did you find that funny?
Yeah, the light over Outsbutt. Or no, the light under Outsbutt, sorry. Which, that's going to be the title of this episode. Let me note that down.
Wait, I feel that can't be the name of one of the stories.
Shadow over Innsmouth.
Yeah, Shadow over Innsmouth.
Oh.
Like Innsmouth.
Yeah, you see, now that, I know that's the story.
Alright.
Fish people that are fishy people.
Fish people.
Need more dealing with?
So just to make sure we're on the same page, definitely not the people that we saw in the video.
You saw a Saurian, which is like you saw a lizard man and some dark elves and the elves. These are all like fish-esque humanoids.
Well, they don't seem too nice, but
Lucian, they are robbing a church. We must not allow it.
And ask it does its birthday.
I was going to suggest.
It's all your fault, is it not?
It's not.
But still.
I'm going to ignore what you said, Gil, because I know that you have selfish motives.
That is
I don't know if we should deal with these people because we still have to finish our job.
Job is relative finished. If you would let Neon stay.
I was going to suggest we question them. Maybe they're not. Maybe the looks can be deceiving. Maybe they're not that mean.
And give them the first
Maybe they're
move.
just stupid.
I mean,
She looks like number. Do they outnumber? No, they don't outnumber us.
If we are going to do that, we should probably prepare.
How many did you say?
Just in case.
based off what I see here,
There's 7.
So there's technically they outnumber. Technically we're tied.
Yeah, if you count Garrow, you're tied.
We're evenly.
Nah, we got 8. There's Morrigan.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's part of you.
But Morgan acts as one.
Like,
Or,
technically you are
They
one.
are one. He is
So the
one
thing is,
with
I can't actually command Morrigan. It just takes my action. So why bother?
Basically. So it would basically be the same as 1. But frankly, I don't know what they're saying, and part of me doesn't care. But I could get to a point where, if it does get hostile,
All right.
If it's hostile, you can always turn and run like all this.
I'd like to approach them if that would be acceptable.
I don't. Doesn't.
Your name's officer. Be my guest.
I will follow closely behind him as backup if needed.
Oh, what bodyguard?
Oh no, that won't be
I will wait in the
necessary.
wing.
Okay.
You're getting it either way.
So what I'm going to do, DM, is right here, I'm going to call Morrigan down and immediately jump in.
Well, seeing him do that, I'm gonna climb the walls.
All right.
Caleb, I guess, will take up a position with his musket.
All right. Do you want to get into the cavern or kind of stay back a little bit?
Well, he's going to want to be in range, so he's going to have to be in the cavern.
Well, the problem is there any source of light?
There is not.
Morrigan has lights.
Yeah. Morgan. But let me see how much Morgan is giving off. I've actually haven't done it.
I can't tell.
Pretty sure she does.
Okay, here it is.
Light steel might. Morgan is giving off 10 feet of light, as is Gil. But
no, I believe it's mentioned that like it gives off I think it was like 60 feet of light in a cone.
okay, so do you want to like just
in
point
front.
it? Yeah, like just point it this way, basically.
Just like
Yeah, basically.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna stealthily.
And from here,
climb the wall.
Caleb can hit most of them, because I think his range is 45? Oh no, it's 40. Fuck.
All right, and Caro's gonna fall in line with you, Caleb, seeing as everyone else seems to be going straight for hostility. Lucian, what are you doing?
Wait, what the fuck? Why is that 40, but this is
I'm
45?
gonna-
That doesn't make sense.
I'm gonna follow behind.
Position and all that.
I'm gonna follow behind quietly, as quietly as I can.
All right. I would say make me a stealth check, but I'm going to say between the explosive mech entrance, Gil glowing, and everyone else getting into sharpshooting positions, I'm going to say it's not really necessary. All right, so I'm going to say with Neon's, let's call it explosive entrance, stealth isn't exactly on the table. But
I'm hiding.
So Neon, as you
You have to have him say, nerf this.
Well, here, let's get to it. So, Neon, as you simply give the party the indication of, I would like to speak with them, you turn and give a wave, and how does Morgan take to the field?
What do you mean?
Like basically, like, how does the summoning look to the party? Because they've never seen it before.
Basically, Morgan just, like, materializes from high enough up in the air that you couldn't really see, and then just crashes down, like, at like ridiculous speed, like cracking the ground underneath, probably shaking everybody up a little bit.
All right.
Honestly, maybe you could just throw that at your enemies and crush them.
Fun fact, that is actually a feature that is actually a thing that I am allowed to do. It even gives a damage readout and a range.
Yeah, Caleb's so sad in character.
Yeah, and Neon, you run, and seeing Neon and as like rocks and rubble fall around Morgan as they had presumably just fucking blasted their way through the Underdark to get here, you all immediately go for weapons, seeing as Neon's negotiations are likely going to be somewhat hostile. As Gil
will take over.
As the elves flanking Morgan, as Neon, you sprint and immediately dive into the back of Morgan, and Caleb, as you and Caro run with your long-range weaponry around the left side of the cavern, you can see this like squadron. Neon, you can see an additional one at the base of the stairs that hadn't been there when you first looked, but all of them immediately reel back in confusion and shock as the headlamps of Morgan just like cast the entire church in bright light, or at least all the visual portion where they're standing. As Caleb and Caro, the two of you, immediately take a knee and aim your ranged weapons at the now visible crowd to the two of you. As Zephyr, you start immediately scaling the walls Spider-Man style and drawing your crossbow. As the one sitting on the pile of loot, one arm covering his eyes and one arm reaching for his wicked, serrated-looking spear, waves his spear in the air and just, "Call the pets! We're under attack!"
I would like to announce through Morgan, so it's amplified basically. This is Officer Neon of the Peacekeepers of Edict. We'd like to ask you some questions.
Make an intimidation check with advantage.
Will fucking do. Let's see. So the first one's a 5, and the second one is 19.
You see, as they look up at you, their bulging eyes like narrowing and like the light reflecting off of them, creating this very ominous like glow in their eyes. But as the leader, presumably with the fat neck, like looks over you, the people pointing ranged weaponry, the kobold climbing the walls with another ranged weapon, the glowing elf with the massive gauntlets, and the stealthily creeping up spellcaster, he looks side to side and finally puts his hands up in the air as the other fish folk drop their spears and do the same, and just like, okay, just don't shoot, no cops.
All right, I will open the cockpit of Morgan and just kind of stand up, just let
the leader?
Yeah, that guy. Austin was just highlighting him. This fella.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Let
He's
me.
tiny. He's so small.
Yeah, the tokens are going to be a little small on the battle map because they got their little guys.
There he has a crown now. And I can draw a better crown than that.
I love how you guys just doodle on my battle maps.
Well, I'm trying to make sure we know who's the leader, so I'm going to draw like a...
But yeah, so you all see the strange fish folk drop their weapons in confusion, panic, and fear, and keep their webbed and finned hands up in the air as Neon, you open up Morgan's cockpit.
And I kind of stand up. I go, all right, I appreciate that. First of all, There's some.
Lights off! Lights off! No cops!
I won't turn them off, but I will at least angle them down so that there's still lights. Like it's still a bit lit up in the room, but it's not blinding no more.
Yeah. As Morgan angles down and you exit out the cockpit, you can see with the direct glare of the headlamps taken off of them, they're kind of the ones at the base of the stairs are kind of stumbling blindly and confused. And the
over here.
And the leader kind of awkwardly stumbles off of his pile of loot as he kind of blinks the dazed spots out of his eyes. And just, again, this is all in Undercommon. Those of you who can't speak and have no idea what's being said. And same with what Neon is saying. Neon is just responding with the same, like, gurgling intonations that they're using. What do you want?
We'd like to ask you some questions. There's a vehicle with a bunch of dead people in it. You know anything about it?
We don't know nothing! They just send the caravans through, and we take a toll! That's all!
You take a toll?
Yes! That's what the boss said! Take a toll from everyone who passes through! This is our land!
So you didn't kill the people in the truck?
Never! We don't kill anyone! The boss says killing is bad for business unless it's the boss doing it!
And I imagine by the boss, they're referring to the guy there, the guy with the crown.
No, I think he mentioned.
No, this is the boss talking.
Yeah. Oh, this is the boss talking. Okay, my
yeah,
bad.
he did mention wait for the boss, so apparently there's another guy.
Yeah, that's true. All right, and who is your boss?
The Tango with the black feathers!
The Tengu with
Does
the
he have a
black
name?
feathers.
Do you speak Undercommon, Lucian?
Oh God, no, I don't.
Yeah, so, yeah, you have no idea what's being said.
Caleb recognized the description of a black tengu.
Make a history check, flat roll.
That's a natural 1.
You have no
Oh,
idea.
no.
I fucking wish I. Oh, you know what? I think I know. You know what? I think I can do something. Hang on.
I could just like be an interpreter.
Say to everyone else.
Please,
Yeah,
please
so-
do.
Yeah, Neon, do you want to pass along what's being said?
I think you're the
Yeah, here.
might be the
What?
only one you can understand.
Yeah. I guess let's continue with the assumption that like whatever is being told to me, I'm relaying to everybody else.
Okay.
What is the name of the Tengu?
Neon, do you pass that along?
Yes.
Alright.
And again,
Yeah,
vice versa.
I'm assuming. I was more just double checking. He kind of looks confused as Lucian speaks, but then turns back to you, Neon, as you interpret, and kind of flaps his arms like he's imitating wings, and just says, "No name. He says to just call him Tango. Wears a mask over his beak."
Does that sound familiar?
Yes, it does. Does it sound like a certain Tengu that I've met?
I mean, that's up to you, but I will say you've never known Tropu, assuming that's who you're referring to,
Yes.
to wear a mask, and you would know that he, at least from what you've seen from him at the ball, appears to be confined to a wheelchair.
Okay.
No, but Dr. Knight.
Dr.
Wears
Knight is
a
also a
mask.
tank. That is true.
Did
But
they
at the-
specify that it was a male?
Not that I recall, but Neon, you can question further if you wish.
Question on whether they're a male or a female.
He just left his stuff here and said he would be back. He's told us to watch it.
Technically never specified. Because they are calling he, but
He tends to be a default for a lot of people.
We won't take a toll. Just go away.
I'm not done yet.
Knock up.
We found a recording of what happened to the people in the truck. They were attacked by a Saurian and some dark elves. Know anything?
Neon?
Matt?
Basically, have they seen?
Oh, think we lost him.
No,
I heard
we still hear him.
Yeah, I can hear you now. What were you saying?
Okay.
Yeah, they were attacked by, and then on my end it cut out.
Okay, yeah. They were attacked by, I believe it was a Saurian and some dark elves.
Yeah, Saurian and dark elves.
Yeah.
So basically, have they
do they
seen
know
a Saurian or Dark Elves?
Yeah, they know anything about that.
We let them pass through. They paid the toll a few weeks ago. We said they could use our tunnels as long as they paid.
Your tunnels?
Yes, we dig the tunnels.
A loud noise. You know anything about that?
And bear in mind, this whole time you guys can still hear it. And he gives a nod and says, yes, it's how we dig the tunnels. You! And he baps the nearest one over the head with the blunt end of his spear. Go get the pets! Go get them! And the one next to him kind of gives up, yeah! And like scuttles off into the darkness.
I love you guys.
Caleb wants to ask, what are fish people doing in a cave?
We are the deep ones! We always stay away from the sun!
Think about all that water that we just came away from.
Does Caleb recognize the term "the deep ones"? I assume not, because of his failed check earlier.
Yeah, no. I'll say, Lucian, you would know that it's just one of many names given to those same stories you've heard before. And Caleb, you still aren't familiar. It's not exactly common folklore around here, but you're at least vaguely aware.
Is it under common folklore around here?
Well, yeah, but you get the idea. That was pretty good. I'll give you that one. You guys watch as the deep one disappears into the darkness and comes back down on the bottom layer, trailing a massive, swirling, like humanoid form of rock, dust, and boulders. It's taking on a humanoid shape, but just surrounded by a swirling cloud of dust and rocks. And as it walks, and you can see the one that had been whacked kind of pulling him along by the hand as it kind of looks down at him, this massive humanoid golem surrounded by dust. And the big one on top of the loot pile jabs his spear in the direction of it and says, "Our boss paid them to dig the tunnels for us!"
All right. Well, that's one mystery solved at least. DM, the recording that we...
Gil would like to ask you to say something.
All right, one at a time. Neon first.
So the recording of the attack on the vehicle. Do we have did it have any time stamp on it or anything like that? To denote how long ago it was from now?
Yes, you would have seen on it that the here I have it noted here. You would know that it disappeared. I had it noted. Sorry, just a second. You would know that it disappeared, or at least the label on the attack said it was about 3 weeks ago.
Okay, 3 weeks ago. All right, and I forget. Did they mention whenever I was asking them about the lizard and
they said that they paid the toll, so we gave them access to our tunnels weeks ago.
Weeks ago. Okay.
Not a specific number, just weeks. And Gil, okay. What were you going to ask? Can you speak Undercommon, by the way?
No, that's what I was going to ask, because Neon's been translating.
No, yeah, I'm assuming. I'm more just so I know what the fish people are saying. So what would you like to ask?
But I was going to ask Neon and have him ask them, why do y'all have a boss? Why don't you be your own boss?
No, before I translate that, I would No, that's actually a good point. I'm gonna ask him that. Never mind.
You see all of the deep ones in the room, and even the elemental flinch visibly. And the fat one on the loot pile speaks up with a kind of gurgling, fearful voice. "We cannot disobey the boss. He said he'd peel us! Peel us!"
Wait, he said he'd do what?
Heal us.
Peel us like fruit!
I don't know why. It's just like something about just these funky dudes with that voice.
Scale them. He's scaled them.
Peel us! Peel us! Oh, it's really funny.
Lucian will kind of cross her arms.
Caleb was like, I'm surprised they didn't say got you like a fish.
Do you think it's Dr. Knight or somebody related to her? Well, related to in a sense of associated.
Business.
Yes.
I would like to ask them, the Dark Elves and Saurian, do you know where they went?
They come into our tunnels through Argos, through the island in the mountains.
Argos Island in the mountains. Alright, well that checks out with what Deadman said.
Edict's people come in, Argos people go back out.
Alright, and the, What do you have in all of that, in all of those goodies?
It's our boss's things. He told us to watch them while he was away.
Do I see anything that looks cool?
Definitely want to look for
say,
something cool.
Could Neon translate for me and also say that how do I want to phrase this? You can watch over all this stuff, and we will deliver part of it for you to him in person.
Okay. So, I don't know. Maybe you'd want me to make insight check on this DM, but I have a reasonable suspicion that he doesn't intend to actually have us deliver this.
I'm not even gonna make you roll for that. Gil has been saying he wants that loot this entire time.
Definitely. Definitely.
Oh no! It's just a way to get them to step down without actually having to kill them.
Yeah, he's saying you to tell them that we're here to borrow them. We'll return it.
Instead of that, I'm going to ask them if they would be willing to trade.
They kind of like look to each other, and the one on the pile shakes his head. No, if the boss finds any of his stuff missing, he'll kill us.
All right, I just figured it was worth a shot.
Neon, could you ask him, did they take anything from the truck?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. The truck that I mentioned before with the dead people in it, did you take anything from it?
No, we don't. We just stay here, and then when the snake comes, we run away to a different cave.
Real quick, insight. I want to...
The snake?
Yeah. First of all, insight. Are they lying?
Yeah, make an insight check.
Lady.
Let's see. Yeah, 16. Not bad. Luckily, I'm using all my really good skills.
I have some ideas.
16, by the way, Matthew, in case you didn't hear.
Oh yeah, sorry. They appear to be forthright. They seem like they're too scared to lie to you, but while they aren't willing to give up their boss, they're more scared of their boss than they are of you. But they do appear to be being forthright with you for the time being.
All right, fair enough. And Snake.
Yes, the snake! It comes out of the tunnels with the heads, and he mimes like heads coming out of his shoulders.
All right, which?
How do you know it's a snake person?
Oh, yeah.
Which tunnels?
They point to the one up to you guys' right, up on the top layer. It comes out of the darkness! We just take the boss's things and run and wait for it to go away!
Did they dig that tunnel?
Point of clarification, referring to them, or referring to the snake, or, like, basically which they?
Yeah, referring to the goblin people. The fish people. The fish goblins.
Nah, this one does all the digging! And he points to the earth creature that just kind of gives a and nods.
So it did dig that tunnel. And then the snake took over the tunnel that it dug.
Yes!
All right. And what about that?
No, you go ahead.
And what? And there's a tunnel on the left side. You said, Matthew.
Yep.
All right. I want to ask them what's down there. Just kind of covering all of our bases right now.
The slugs! The fire slugs! We go in there to hide away from the snake! We keep our pets there!
All right, fair enough. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of want to take a look where they said the giant snake is. I feel like we'd find something interesting there. And plus, these guys seem harmless. I kind of want to help them.
Also, I would like to come down, get behind Gil.
And stab him.
Yeah, after all this.
Yeah. This was my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Alright, so Zephyr, easy enough to do. You
Don't do anything stupid.
No. Behind Gil, roughly out of sight. Activate his invisibility.
Oh, fuck
no.
me.
Oh,
No, don't ruin our negotiations. Come on.
No.
Alright, easy enough to do. Zephyr, it should be on your item sheet. How long does this invisibility last you?
Not for very long, sadly. Not basically, I think it's considered like roughly, slightly weaker version of greater invisibility, so 1 minute. But he shouldn't take too long, as he's going to stealthily go up to the boss.
Alright.
So stealthily.
Give me a hot sec to double check on your character sheet just to see how long this is going to last you.
Yeah, it says last for.
Alright. Okay.
Do you not trust him?
Oh, no, I more just wanted it in front of me, like, to do the math in my head. So, alright. That's 10 feet of your movement. Now, it lasts you for a minute, so are you going to, like, even though you're invisible, you are, or actually, the stealth suit does muffle your footsteps, doesn't it?
Yeah. Stealth.
Alright. You all see Zephyr creep down the wall behind Gil, and once he's behind the massive hulking soldier, presses a button on his suit and vanishes.
So we all see him turn invisible?
I mean, are you trying to hide it from your party, Zephyr?
Well, I mean, trying to hide it from these guys.
Yeah, I know you're trying to hide it from the deep ones, but, like, are you trying to hide it from the party?
I mean, if they look over here, he's not, like, too much hidden, but yeah, just as long as it's hidden from them,
Alright. Zephyr, you vanish, and between the visual invisibility and the muffling quality of the fabric, you start scuttling your way up the stairs and start creeping towards the Deep One's pile. I will say, for just sake of clarification, taking a glance down the hallway closest as you go up the stairs, you see a hallway that leads into a brightly green and red colored cavern with some, like, flashing lights and the occasional, like bubbling sound. But beyond that, you don't see or hear anything unusual. And turning your attention to the loot pile, creep your way a little bit closer.
Wait, can you do that sound again, man?
Wow, is that the sticky body?
Okay, now you're invisible and your sound is muffled, but you are also trying to steal from someone who is from a loot pile that he is sitting on top of and scared out of his wits. So I'm going to say those two cancel each other out. Make me a straight sleight of hand check. You would have disadvantage, but you are invisible and muffled.
Can I do something to help? I got an idea.
What are you intending?
Well, I was going to ask Neon to also translate to the fish people over there and ask them to show us where the snake comes from, if they could lead us.
Wow.
Because I've already figured out what Zephyr's up to. Exactly.
All right. Zephyr, do you want to look through the loot pile before you start grabbing, or are you just going to grab the first thing you can so that you don't get spotted?
Well, I mean, obviously he's going to try to make sure, keep his guard up. He doesn't want to bump into anyone. He's invisible,
not impermeable. That's Caleb's thing.
Yeah, corporeal. But he does want to, at least get, at least a decent, run down, a glance. Obviously, most of the stuff is going to cut down too.
Make me an investigation check.
Well, okay.
Investigation.
Oh, there it is. 14.
All right. Zephyr, taking a moment while you're still stealth as Gil starts talking, and you can hear Gil talking and Neon translating as the Deep One listens. Their head is still kind of swiveling, and their bulging eyes seem like they can look pretty much wherever they want. So you have to be a little careful, but you bend down to start picking through very lightly just to get an idea of what you're looking at. Looking through, you see... You're initially a little disappointed. You don't see anything that immediately grabs you. You see a longbow and a quiver. You see a flintlock pistol, a very used and bloody looking set of leather armor, and just a large pile mixed in of bones, some of which appear to have been carved into rudimentary weapons, a few loose gears, wires, and boards that you recognize as being similar to what Neon carries around. But the things that do grab your attention are a set of armor that has a kind of light blue color to it, with a protective, sort of fibrous layer of thin chainmail covering it, almost like they don't want anything touching it directly. Several potions, most of which are you're not an alchemist, you can't identify potions on sight, at least at a glance, but you recognize several potions, but although you do recognize a few healing potions among them. You see a gun, somewhat similar to the one Caleb's carrying, but much shorter with a much wider barrel. And while it doesn't interest you, you do think it might interest Lucian.
Oh, so
you see... Well, all right, never mind.
Wow. Wow.
What is it?
Feel the love.
And he wonders
Makes
why
a
Lucian
sad
doesn't
face.
like him.
Oh my god.
I mean, so what did I find?
Do you actually want to look at it?
Yeah, yeah, you'll see it,
You see a large leather tome that says Book of Spells.
Zephyr tries to learn how to use this just so he can justify not giving it to Lucian.
Well, yeah, definitely won't go for the book, but harder.
Because, if you have, a spell book, can't, anyone use it, or do you have to...
No, you have to already be a spellcaster to use a spell book, because you wouldn't know what any of the, stuff means.
You can't have them, just read off an incantation and see what
That's what scrolls do.
Yeah, you can do that with scrolls, but not with spell books.
Oh, okay.
You need to be a wizard.
Yeah. Well, any spellcaster can use a spell book, but yeah, a wizard is best suited for one. But yeah, so
Wizard Harry.
yeah, but yeah, so yeah, that's what you see in the pile that this massive, fat, deep one is sitting on, Zephyr.
Well, I mean, might as well take something. I'll see about taking some of the potions. Maybe, like, preferably the health potion.
Okay, so you want to just snag a few health potions?
Grab the potion if I can.
Make me a sleight of hand check, just flat roll.
The potent potions.
Alright. I got a good roll here. I have a high bonus, so let's see. Okay. Okay, I rolled a 15 with my plus 15, so 30.
You have plus 15?
Yep, my gloves. I have thieves gloves that are like kind of like they're invisible, but they give me like a +5 to my deck or to my sleight of hand.
Yeah, so he basically, he went full in on sleight. Hey, he is the thief of the family. Those of you who saw what Zephyr did watched. You basically watched carefully, and as soon as Neon, you translate what Gil said, the deep one kind of nods and quickly starts scurrying off of the loot pile. And Zephyr, you kind of panic for a second, but quickly start snagging. You guys can see bright red vials, like briefly for a split second, levitating off of the pile before vanishing into presumably one of Zephyr's pockets. As Zephyr, you managed to snag 3 potions of greater healing.
What does that mean?
It's just the healing potion.
How much
just
do they heal?
So a regular healing potion would heal you 2d4 plus 2, but greater healing will heal you for 4d4 plus 4. So basically, you get twice the healing that you would from a regular healing potion.
Just remember, Zephyr, Gil helped you out.
I mean, I'm also carrying 2 supreme healing potions. Right? So how much? 3, right?
Oh my god, what is this?
Yeah, 3. Yeah, and 3. Yeah, 3 greater healing potions. Yes. And to answer your question, Caleb, supreme healing is 10d4 plus 20.
Oh my god.
Heals more than the amount of HP I have.
Yeah. All right. Zephyr, I'll say between the time it took you to get up here and just start filching through, I'll say your invisibility is about halfway over.
Alright, well, I mean, I don't want to, get caught. Yeah, I will hurry back and, I guess without raising too much suspicion, I will return back to Gil's bed.
Alright, and Gil, you kind of glance briefly as the massive, fat, deep one scurries off the pile and starts barking orders to his followers to gather up everything if they're going to start moving. And you all see Zephyr silently fade back into view behind Gil.
Get anything good?
There wasn't much there. I did see a little bit, like it was an armor that thing, though I wouldn't. There were more potions. Don't know what they were. I managed to snag some healing potions, but other than that, nothing.
Zephyr, I've got half a mind to stuff you in the barrel of Morrigan's grenade launcher and pull the trigger.
I have a half a mind to let you.
I saw an
What
opportunity.
the fuck he would go?
No harm done.
Neon, you hear barking from the large deep one from the top, as most of the deep ones and the earth elemental have gathered on the top layer, and the large one, and you can see the various loot that he had been sitting on is now just being carted around in the arms of the deep ones and the large golem, as it looks down at you with wide bulging eyes that are slightly narrowed and just like, "We take you to the tunnels, but then we're running away. We do not want to fight the snake."
Fair enough.
Their golems can't hurt the snake.
They kind of shake their head. No. We used to have more golems, but after the snake, this is all that's left. We're losing our digging crew.
I have a feeling that their boss would not be happy if they suddenly stopped digging.
Yes. So we have to be careful. We have to run away.
DM, can I kind of glean, like, just from a just a cursory glance, can I glean whether they are mechanical in origin or magical? I imagine
The golem?
magical, but yeah.
Make an Arcana check.
All right, I figured. Luckily, I'm decent at Arcana. That's another 16, actually. Wow.
The golem does appear to be magical. You can recognize some runes carved into its head that are providing it with automation and magically given orders.
I figured as much. Dang. Oh, well, that's okay.
I guess if they stop digging, they get peeled.
I'd imagine so.
No peels.
Could you ask when their bus is due to return?
I will ask them that.
The boss said he would be right back when he first went away.
And when was that?
11 years ago now.
Well, it doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon.
No, he always comes back. We just have to wait.
Has he ever come back before?
When did he last come back?
11 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say 11 years ago. All right. Well, I appreciate all of your help.
Do not come back to our tunnels after we're done.
Well, if you don't mind, we'd like to go, find the snake or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm curious.
Yes.
Oh,
Come.
yeah. Can you also ask them, Neon, if we kill the snake, would that count as paying the toll so we could have free access to their tunnels?
Oh, they already said we didn't have to. They already said we didn't have to pay.
That's out of fear.
Yes.
They
if
said don't come back.
You know what? Yeah, that's fair. I will ask them that.
They kind of all look to each other and just like, fine, but do not tell the boss that you were here.
Oh, don't worry, we won't.
Tell him what?
The elf is smart. Come. We'll show you the snake's tunnels.
God, I'm gonna feel real bad if we get to the snake's tunnels, the snake comes out and fucking eats them all.
All right, so do you all head?
If it ends up being like the crate dragon from the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
All right, so are you all going to head up following after the deep ones?
Yes.
All right.
John, I hope.
And Neon, point of order, are you going to stay in Morgan?
I imagine I won't be able to because I imagine the tunnels will be too small, but...
How big is Morgan?
Here, I'll look up the exact dimensions, but...
Well, basically, do they count as, like, medium or large?
Large.
You can fit them on the elevated section, but actually, as you kind of head up, looking at the tunnel, you actually estimate it'd be a bit of a squeeze, and nobody's going to be able to walk next to you. But you actually imagine you can fit Morgan through.
Okay, yeah, 10 to 14 feet. So I think we discussed it was like around 12 feet in terms of like...
Yeah, I more needed the mechanical measurements. Yeah, like taking a cursory look at the tunnel that the deep ones are heading towards, you estimate that as long as nobody's walking next to you, you could probably fit Morgan through.
All right, cool. I'll stay in Morgan.
Big enough that people could probably just kind of maneuver under it.
Yeah, I think that is actually a mechanic.
You'll have to be small to do that, but yes.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
I mean,
So it's Zephyr.
Yeah,
if
Zephyr.
Caleb like ducks a little bit, could he do it?
I'll say if you go prone, sure.
Don't step on him.
All right, so Neon, I went ahead and just made you large on the map for visual preference. Do you want to be up front? So what's the marching order to the tunnels going to be?
I think me going first would be best. But...
All right.
Well, we're gonna let the fish people go first.
Well, yes, obviously. Like for you guys, what's the order?
What's our formation?
Yeah, so right now I have it as Neon up front in Morgan, Caleb and Gil behind, Zephyr behind Gil. All right, Lucian's at the back, and Caro next to Zephyr. So basically, the layers are Neon, Caleb and Gil, Caro and Zephyr, Lucian. Any objections?
That seems right.
All right. You guys.
I can't get over that. He'll peel us.
He'll peel us. All right. With that, you guys begin following after the deep ones as they lead you across this massive cavern. As you guys get closer, you can actually see once you get to about here that there is a massive rock slide to the right part. And Lucian, with your keen mind, you would know that this is the other side of that flooded chamber you and Zephyr had been in. And now that you've seen the origin of the thumping noise, you estimate now that it was likely them trying to get the golem to dig the rock slide out. But you all follow the deep ones further and further up, closer to the exit of the tunnel. The deep ones kind of chittering amongst themselves in Undercommon as they go. And you all hear a very light kind of sound and kind of instinctively like flinch and panic. But Lucian, as you glance up, you kind of like get Caro's attention, who looks up in turn and gives a wide smile and, "Everyone, look!" And as you all turn your attention upwards as you're walking, you see the ceiling is now glowing. You see these strange-looking creatures, almost like living rocks, are clinging to the ceiling of this church. Each individual one is small, only like an inch or two, wider than they are tall. And sticking out of the center of the rock are these like glowing bright blue fins that kind of wave in the air, creating this like light bright blue glow throughout the chamber, creating this like kind of like fair folk-esque like lighting over everything as they wave the fan to and fro, kind of twitching lightly as they go.
Can I ask Neon to ask the fish people if this is their pets they were talking about?
I will ask.
The king kind of like turns and kind of tilts his head a bit confused, but then as he turns his attention upwards, you see his face pales, paler than normal, and he immediately starts jabbing at his buddies, and they start babbling to each other. The glows, they come! You notice that they all start to immediately dive off of the elevated platform. And the biggest one, clutching the Book of Spells to his chest, looks to you with his wide eyes bulging even further, Neon, said, "They glow when the snake comes!" And dives off to join his comrades as the golem retreats past all of you guys back down the tunnel. And as they like panic and scrabble, the cavern is deserted by the deep ones and the golem. And you all hear from the tunnel ahead of you, this stretch of darkness, this low. And see this massive shape beginning to take form in the darkness. Slowly uncoiling from the darkness of the tunnel as the deep ones run away in a frenzy. You see this massive serpent with many, many heads begin to slowly slither out from the tunnel ahead of you. Neon, it doesn't...
Rock is a hydrant.
Yes, as this massive pitch black, like ebony colored serpent slithers onto the elevated priestly platform, elevating you all above the rest of this cave, you see its one massive, like midnight black head turn to look at you as it flicks its tongue, and then you see another head.
How many heads does it have?
Let me finish. You see one head uncurl, and then another, until 6 heads have taken shape on its neck. One in the center larger than the others, surrounded by this like halo of 5 massive pitch black serpent faces. And as they form like an S-like striking pose with their massive tree trunk-like body, they open their mouth to reveal this like glowing blue mouth that sticks out wildly against its midnight black body in the darkness of the cavern, illuminated only by these barnacles on the ceiling, as it gives a loud and that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
I knew it. I was about to say it. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
I was going to ask you. I was like, I, the player, know what this is. I don't know if Lucian would know what this is.
Well, note that down for next time.
Okay.
But yes, in a massive abandoned dark elf church, you have received the unwilling aid of the Deep Ones and their recruited golem, who seem to be working for a mysterious masked Tengu, living in fear in the caverns of this massive ebony serpent with many heads. But as the cave is illuminated by these things on the ceiling, the snake takes form, and yeah, that's gonna be fun. So, check out our website at officiald5hub.info. Check our link that's about to be posted in chat to join the official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly, and support our episodes posted on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. Check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our Kobold Rogues Twitch channel at twitch.tv/AustinFreak123. As the party is deep down in the Underdark, encountering deep ones, dark elves, strange bipedal lizards, and hydras. Let's see if the party can handle this ebony serpent that has the deep ones living in fear. Thanks all of you so much for playing. Thanks everyone at home so much for watching, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Hang on, let's see. Hydra D&D.